I sent Tony a text message. It just said, "Tony, hey, was just wondering how you're doing." And looks like Tony doesn't own that phone anymore.
Oh
So
no.
some guy was writing me back like, "Oh, who are you? And how old are you?" And like asking me a bunch of suggestive questions.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that wasn't Tony. So um I called
Tony's
the
getting very naughty.
I called the voice number again, and it's
12.
it's
All right. Welcome to episode 245 of the LinuxLUGcast. We're an open podcast / lug that meets at 9 p.m. Eastern every first and third Friday of the month using Mumble. We encourage anyone listening to join us and participate on the podcast. All you need to do is just install Mumble. And I still need to add that link to the mobile Mumble.
Oh yeah, Lugcast web.
Yeah.
Well, you can join if you don't have mobile installed and you don't want to install it. You can go to your browser and type Lugcast web, all one word, .minnix minnix .dev. Lugcastweb.minnix.dev, and that will bring up a mobile version, or I'm sorry, a browser-based version of the Mumble client. You can jump in and join us that way. Make sure you enable your mic and your speakers or headphones or whatever you're using.
At the same time, Mumble is available on Android, iOS, OS X, Windows, all forms of Linux. It is available in many different forms in Linux, between usually in the repositories and is it an app image? Does anybody know?
I don't know how I have it installed. I may have it installed as an app image.
They probably have a snap.
I'm pretty sure there's a flat pack.
Yeah.
A flat pack?
Oh,
Okay.
that's what I have. I have a flat pack. Yeah.
Do they have a snap too for Ubuntu people?
I don't know.
Probably. If not, it's available in pretty much every single repository. And it's available on Windows. Like I said, basically every version is out there. Android is not necessarily the best. Usually, it's a Plumble.
No, Plumble has been deprecated. It's Moomla.
It may be deprecated, but I think you could still download it, and I think it's still usable, isn't it?
I don't think so. Well,
No?
it may still be usable, but Moomla is
Moomla is the way to go.
Yeah.
Moomla is what I got installed.
That's the fork of Plumble.
Okay.
It's still being updated.
So was Moomla's in the Play Store, isn't it?
I don't know. I got it from F-Droid. It might be in the Play Store.
I think I got it from the Play Store. Because I'm not sure I put. I think I just recently put F-Droid on that. All right. So, in other words, if you want to come on here and join us and talk about Linux and all sorts of craziness, that if you're listening to us, you understand the craziness. All you have to do is on the first and third Friday of any month, join us. Go to linuxlugcast.com and has all the server details, or go to the web version, the mobile browser version.
Yeah.
Thank you. The browser version that Minnix had said earlier. But if not, if you're unable to make it and you still want to give us feedback, you can send us email at feedback@linuxlugcast.com. For those, we have a Matrix page where we discuss things. Then we have a Lemmy page where we post links to things that mostly Danny finds interesting. I'll occasionally post one or two. We have a decent amount of people on the Lemmy page, but it's mostly just Danny posting things.
Yeah, let's see how many subscribers we have now for our Lugcast community. We've got 158 subscribers.
Not a lot, but it ain't bad.
871 users. So I guess they visit, but they're not actually join the community.
Okay. And they seem to be participating. They're voting things up and down, or whatever it is that you're supposed to do. It's Lemmy is a very Reddit-esque thing.
Yeah, it's a self-hosted, federated Reddit basically.
Basically, yeah. That's where a lot of interesting stuff gets posted, and 99% of it is posted by Danny.
Mm-hmm. And I make sure I farm all the data for my AI bot, and that's going to take over the world. No, that's one thing you don't have to worry about, is we haven't sold out to Google or whoever Reddit sold their API to, OpenAI, Google, whatever.
We constantly try to sell out to Liquid Death, but they have not picked up yet. I mean, what the hell?
If anybody would actually consider paying us, of course we would sell out instantly. But nobody's made that offer yet.
Nobody's flashed any cash our way, so we haven't taken anything. Yeah, so we got the Lemmy, we got the Matrix chat. If you want to see these beautiful faces, then you could check out. We have a YouTube channel and a Peertube channel. All of the links for everything, and pretty soon the what I'm supposed to put in there, the browser version of Mumble is all in at LinuxLUGcast.com. Plus, I post all of the links into the show notes as well. Looking at some of the way some of these things post things, I might just put those up at the very top, and then go into the rest of the stuff. Because I look at a lot of times, if you check if you go on to like Amazon Music and stuff, like the first couple of things, it only has, for the show notes, it only has like the first several lines, which is basically just welcome to episode, blah 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 blah, and it doesn't go into. I think I should probably move all of those links to the very top, so that at least they'll see all of those right off the bat. Actually, I should probably just start off with LinuxLUGcast.com and then just go with all the rest of them.
Yeah, I think since we've got everything on Lugcast.com, that if they can get there, then they can get anywhere pretty much. So I think if they see that first, and you're right, that'd be a good start.
I talked before about how I was going to change the way the RSS feed spits out LinuxLUGcast as it's so instead of it just being one word, it's Linux, Lug, and then cast. And everything has updated to that except for Amazon, actually, and they were the ones I had asked in the first place. So I'm going to, like, after I updated the last show, it updated everywhere else. So if I upload this next show, episode 245, and it still hasn't changed on Amazon, and I gotta resend them a message and say like, hey, what the fuck? Everybody else, you suggested that I have to change the RSS feed. I changed the RSS feed, and you haven't updated. Everybody else updated it except for you. What the fuck?
That's weird.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get it so it's more searchable, because then it'll show up as a Linux podcast, or it'll show up, you can say it. It's hopefully like a voice to be able to pick up LinuxLUGcast as opposed to, LinuxLUGcast being all one word.
Yeah, because like, when was the last episode of like SMLR? It's been a long time, right? Yeah, and like if you look up like the top Linux podcasts for 2024, it's still there. I mean, I'm looking at
Linux like tech show still shows up as a Linux podcast.
Yeah,
they haven't talked about Linux, and granted, they're still putting out episodes, and according to Joe, I think they're starting to talk more about Linux again. But
like, here's a quick top 20 Linux podcasts. This Week in Linux, which I think they've been around for a while. Linux Journal. Like, of these, I don't know which ones are still being updated, Linux Unplugged, Linux Gamecast.
Gamecast is still updated, I believe.
Late Night Linux, isn't that an old show, or is that still... Destination Linux, sure, Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday. Linux
Weekly
User
Daily?
Space. Yeah.
Weekly Daily.
And then the number 10 spot is Tilts, and then DLN Extend, which doesn't have anything to do with Linux, I don't think. 12 is Going Linux, Linux for Everyone, Linux for the Layman. Then SMLR is number 15, Linux Action News, Linux for the Rest of Us. Is Door still doing that show?
He hasn't done one in At least a year, if not
Yeah.
longer.
Choose Linux user error. And then that's the top 20 right there.
By who though? Made the list, you know.
Well, it's just a random feed spot list, so it could just be auto-generated based on who knows, Google results or something. I don't think it's a human collected list. Anyway, so yeah, I think you're. I definitely see your point about making us more searchable, because if you
Right.
don't know the word Lugcast, you're not going to find us in a search if you look for like Linux podcast. But it's funny because Lugcast is very searchable, but people
Right.
aren't going to know that
What a
if they've
Lugcast
never
is.
heard of us, what we're called. So, but yeah, the main website is the first thing that pops up when you search Lugcast. Anyway, that's some SEO talk for you.
All right, I'm your host this evening, Honky Magoo. With us tonight is Lovecraft.
Good evening, everybody.
Minnix.
Hello.
And Netminer.
Kind of a reduced show tonight.
Hello.
All right, so because we've been chomping at the bit, and with the pre-show we couldn't stop talking about it, we're going to talk about the show, the movie right off the bat, and the movie.
Yeah, get the theme.
The LinuxLUGcast.
All right, the movie was Dominion: The Last Star Warrior from 2015. And there was never a Star Warrior in this movie.
Kind of. Were the aliens
Who was the Star Warrior?
Warriors?
Who? None of them were. There was no warrior there at all.
Maybe soldiers?
There wasn't even like the race that was supposed to save the planet. All they did was just take a bunch of they were like a peaceful race, and
well,
they just kind of took everybody onto a bunch of people onto the ship and just let everybody else die.
Hold on.
Like, meh.
Let me give a quick synopsis so people know what the hell we're talking about. So, Netminer suggested this movie, but he doesn't remember suggesting it. He says he's never even seen it before. And it's about a would you call him a ufologist or a
UFO researcher.
UFO researcher, something like that? Yeah, it's an older man. Definitely not I don't think anybody in this movie is a real actor, but so
He's got a real nice voice though.
Yeah, he does. He would make. He has a good face for radio. So it's an older man who is really into UFO conspiracy theories and stuff, and I don't know if it ever explains how he first comes into contact with the alien that he does, but he meets up with an alien from Andromeda. I forgot what the alien's race was. Do you remember what the alien race was called?
The evil one was the Draconians or something like that.
Yeah, that was the Draconians. Maybe they were just Andromedans or something. Anyway, so this alien tells them that there is a plot on the way where there is an evil race of aliens that's going to come and dominate the planet Earth, and that I guess, yeah, in 5 days, and his race, the Andromedans, would help Earthlings, except that they're involved in a war of their own, and so they don't have any resources to help them out, but they just want to spread the word so that humans can be ready for the eventual takeover.
They just want to let them know.
Yeah,
you guys are screwed.
Basically, yeah. So
you got 5 days.
There's also a kind of a subplot with the U.S. military. Are they working with the Draconians? What is that?
Well, the Draconians have basically infiltrated most of the influential parts of the government.
Yeah, and they've created these tunnels underground that have all these different
Yeah, the
military bases.
Dulce base is actually like a quote unquote real thing from UFO lore.
Oh,
And
is
in,
it?
yeah, in a larger context, there's these things called DUMBs, deep underground military bases.
Uh-huh.
It's playing off of some of that, you know, conspiracy lore. A lot of the stuff was like the shape of the one ship was like based off of like these black triangle UFOs and stuff. It was they were definitely into that kind of subculture UFO stuff for
So
sure.
they knew their research as far as what UFO conspiracy theorists are into and what they talk about and stuff like that. He had his thumb on the pulse of the UFO community.
Oh
this
yeah, for sure.
director
Yeah.
did. But so he gets this message, and the friendly alien has also been with a woman on Earth, fell in love with her, and that woman has been captured by the Draconians, who are the evil aliens, who are also on Earth, but they're underground in these DUMBs, I guess, these military bases. And the catch is that he has gotten this woman pregnant somehow, and even though I guess they're different species, I don't know, are they just
Somehow?
yeah?
Do we need to go back to 5th grade?
Well, are they? Because is this their true forms as that look like
They
humans?
never said anything about form.
Yeah, so I guess this is just how they look. It's just like people, and
Yeah, it sounded like when they said like the Draconians infiltrated like the 1% of like the elites to take over the government and the military and stuff. So
right.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean it sounds like based on them being Draconians, they might be more like lizard people, like something out of like V or something like that. But I don't know. It was a little all over the place. But
So the friendly alien wants to. Has two objectives. One, he wants to get his girlfriend out of the Draconian base. Two, he has information about all the UFO, or not the UFO, the alien infiltration into the U.S. Or into the global elites and the global military industrial complex and stuff like that. He has all that information, which he gave to the man on a crystal. Is that what that was? Is that? Remember, he had that crystal.
No,
in his hand?
he had a thumb drive with all his stuff.
What was that crystal?
The crystal was something that had all the had a bunch of information, all the information that he's collected during that time, the time that he's been on Earth or whatever.
But how did he get that to a thumb drive?
Which I'm not sure that either one is exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
But like, so you gotta take the thumb drive and you gotta plug it in there. You gotta get some power into that.
Yeah,
so
there was
run a
not
cord
a
into
USB
it.
plug on
There's
the crystal.
There's one crystal that's the positive, and one crystal that's negative, and you gotta put it in there. You get a little soldering iron out. And...
So anyway, he wants him to. So he gives him this information on the thumb drive, and this will, through a network of other UFO enthusiasts, be spread all across the world once he uploads it on his Windows computer, and it takes about 40 hours to upload all this information on this thumb drive. And so that's the two objectives: rescue the girl and get the information out to the rest of the world that this plot is happening. And so they go. So that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as the basic plot. But we can go from there and just talk about the movie, because there's a lot of strange things involved in this movie that I don't understand, and hopefully you guys can help me to understand.
The whole movie was strange.
Yeah, it was basically, as far as production value, it was shot on video, and I know it didn't get a theatrical release. It was what year did it come out, Honkey? Did you say?
2015, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, more than likely it was one of those that was sold to Amazon or something,
Probably.
or sold for streaming,
Yeah.
And so some of the CGI actually looked pretty decent, like the ships in the sky, those the spiky ones and stuff, and
well, even the triangle ships, they looked all right.
Yeah, but when you go into outer space, and see those ships that look like you can see the edges of a green screen around them, and they're just all blocky and stuff. That is not very good.
Acting was horrible. Production was horrible.
Production was bad. And this guy has made quite a few movies. The director of this movie, I forget his name, but we talking about in Matrix, he made this movie called Hawk Jones, which is great. It's a cult classic, and it's his first movie. It's basically a mobster movie with the cops against the mafia. And the catch is that every single character in the movie is played by a small child. And they're shooting guns at each other and killing each other. And you know, it's funny. It's just crazy seeing this movie. But anyway, so you should definitely see Hawk Jones. But this movie is kind of on a different level. It seems like it was made to get out the message that we should be aware of plots like this going on. It seemed very sincere to me. Like there's definitely nothing tongue in cheek.
No.
Despite the fact that it was so poorly made, you know.
So the ending being spoil it for people here.
Yeah, here's a spoiler, the major spoiler.
The ending being we all fucking die, minus about, what was it, 10,000?
3 million.
3 million.
3 million?
Yeah.
That they were able to save onto a ship, and they were able to move over to some planet that has the ability to sustain life, not unlike Earth. Earth 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And everybody else is dead.
They didn't take them to their planet. They took them to their own planet just for the Earthlings, right?
Some random planet.
Yeah, it was another
that could sustain life.
But the guy was going to take his girlfriend back to his planet because he was talking about how cool it was, and like you can live for 3 times as long, and there's no disease, and you don't even need food because like the water's got all the nutrients in it, and it's like
right.
Yeah, you guys could just take the humans there, maybe. But now, give them their own planet.
They get their own planet. They don't even say anything about the fact that their unborn child was ripped out of the woman's womb, and they said it was going to be raised as a counter agent or a spy for the noirs, or whatever you want to call them,
and also used as breeding stock to create hybrids. They said
that's right, as breeding stock to create hybrids. They make absolutely no effort to try to go back and get that kid.
No, they don't.
And then she was going to be dissected for her delicacies.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. To feed who?
Right.
The other Draconians, or?
Yeah, I guess there's sought after bits of humans that Draconians like to eat, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either.
What was great about it is they have scenes of just long pauses.
What was great about it?
Where it was uncomfortable, that when they're all standing in the hallway and they were waiting for the guy's girlfriend to come into the hallway too, it was just like an uncomfortable silence with 3 people just standing there just kind of staring at each other, smiling, and they have no idea why.
Let me give you a bit of the dialogue. I've got it queued up here. This is in the very beginning when the UFO researcher walks into the gas station and asks the guy about strange occurrences. So let me play this real quick.
Could I get $60 on pump 4, please?
Sure.
Thanks. I understand over the years some peculiar things have been happening around these parts. Cattle mutilations, strange lights in the sky, things of that sort.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Really? Okay. Set to go?
Yes, sir.
And that's it. And then he just walks. Really? I don't know anything about that. Really? Okay.
He's got a voice like Brian Cox.
Who's Brian Cox?
He was in Red. He was in.
You ever see Super Troopers?
Super Troopers. Yep.
He was the chief.
Chief. Yep.
Okay. Here's another thing I wanted to bring up. So all this is stored on a I guess, a FAT32 thumb drive that he puts into a Windows computer. And it's the folders are so obviously named, like UFO underground bunker, UFO this, that, and stuff like that. But they open, he starts looking at a sheet in there, and I took a little screenshot of this. It has all these conspiracy theories. So here's some of them. Much of our stealth aircraft technology was developed by back engineering crashed alien craft. Number 4, AIDS was a population control virus invented by the National Ordnance Laboratory of Chicago. 5, unbeknownst to just about everyone, the U.S. government has an earthquake device. Neither the 1995 Kobe earthquake nor the 1989 San Francisco quake had a pulse wave, whatever that means. Number 6, the World Trade Center bomb blast and the Oklahoma City blast were achieved using small nuclear devices. The melting and pitting of the concrete and the extrusion of the metal, and then it just stops there. Those are some of the true facts that are on this thumb drive. So
The Draconians were responsible for all of it.
yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm looking at the names of the folders on the secret thumb drive. So we have moon base photos, NASA documents, recovered alien bodies photos, the truth of human origin. Oh, what could that be? I didn't notice that. Okay, this one, top secret UFO documents.
The moon thing was actually it was referenced in dialogue with the movie where somebody was saying, yeah, the moon is a artificial construct, and they were using it as a base to tap into human consciousness or something like that. Somebody was saying something like that in the film. It was I was like, whoa.
There was a guy. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just like, that kind of like just blew my mind a little bit. I had to take a step back.
But the last folder is the best. It says, "Who is behind the Illuminati?"
Yeah.
So you have every single conspiracy trope you can think of is in this movie in these folders. It's pretty funny.
They should have thrown in something from like Cicada or something like that to kind of tie it in a little more. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I just like that one for top secret UFO documents. That's how they labeled it. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
So this movie does have some problems.
I liked the ending. I mean, just the guy trying to create a bargain with them.
Oh yeah, the betrayal at the end.
Yeah.
You promised.
His response was everything was "fuck you." Oh, I got the rock right here. Whoa.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was funny. Yeah, so he made him a deal. He made the Draconians a deal, the old man, that if they would let go of the alien and his girlfriend, that he wouldn't release the top secret UFO photos, documents, and NASA history of human origin and all that stuff. So. But he didn't keep it. He didn't keep his promise.
Nope. That's all right. Most of the Earth population was wiped out anyways.
Yeah.
7.1 billion humans on this planet Earth that you have condemned. Fuck you.
There we go. But I can say that I didn't hate this movie.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it either.
It's not something I would have watched, chosen myself, like, to watch, because I really, really, really hate Bigfoot conspiracies, UFO conspiracies, any kind of Illuminati bullshit. Just can't stand it. But this movie kind of won me over just because they were so sincere, and the big fuck you at the end Just, just put my thumb gradually. Just went, yeah, went up. So I give this a thumbs up. I don't know about you guys. Honky, I don't think you're as enthused as I was.
No, I did. No thumbs up. No thumbs up. I can't.
Actually, I gotta go thumbs up. They were committed to it. It had
Totally.
it touched on a bunch of different stuff, and I'm kind of a little bit of a sucker for movies where the good guys don't win. I kind of like dark endings sometimes.
I did like that too. I like that too.
So yeah, I gotta go thumbs up on it.
Yeah, if Independence Day, the humans had lost, I would have probably liked that movie a lot better. And I kind of like that like he said, it's not a happy ending, and humans were doomed basically. So I guess releasing that information didn't really do anything, did it?
Didn't help a thing.
It didn't help a thing.
They all died anyways.
Yeah. So fuck you. Yeah.
It was definitely a lot more amusing than some of our other movies, but it definitely sucked. There is no possible way I can give that a thumbs up at all.
Do you have it on IMDb? Do you see it on? Are you looking at IMDb?
No.
I was just wondering what it was rated.
I can find out, I think.
How many stars? Surely eight between 8 and 9 stars, right?
3.6.
Oh man, come on! Wasn't that bad? Or maybe it was. I don't know.
It was.
All right. Well, I guess we need to pick our next movie here. Get to rearrange some things. Let's see.
Now, are you using the random picker, or are you just picking it at this point?
No,
are you just kind of randomly scrolling down, going, there it is?
No, I've got it. I can't
Actually,
find...
the guy who did this movie's got a Alien Overlords movie coming in at 2.8 on IMDb.
Oh man, we need to add that. Oh, there it is. I was just looking for the script. Okay. No, I put the script on our Git repository.
That doesn't mean you're using it.
I am using it.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Cyber Deduction from 2005.
Cyber Deduction?
Yeah, I don't remember that movie at all.
Deduction.
The Cyber Deduction.
What are they deducing?
I think Joe put a bunch of...
Never heard of that one.
Joe put a bunch of cyber movies with cyber in the title on the list.
Oh, that's Seduction. Let's see. Seduction. 2005?
Yeah. Oh, it must be
Cyber
Seduction. Okay. That's a TV movie from 2005.
See, that makes more sense.
A high school kid, Sumter, develops an addiction to internet porn so intense that it begins to destroy his life and tear his family apart. Oh, that sounds great.
It gets a 3.2.
Awesome.
IMDb.
Let me look at a few of the reviews here. The first review, trash. Never saw such a one-sided, stupid, prude botch. The only thing they forgot to tell us is that masturbating causes blindness. But then it isn't even necessary, as the main character just stares and stares. But let's assume the movie tries to imply he's masturbating. Let's repeat. Watching porn and probably masturbating has several consequences. For example, number 1, you look old and tired. Every teenager not sleeping enough looks like that. What does a typical geek look like? You'll fail at sports and school. You want to sleep with your girlfriend. your friends turn against you. Man, this is...
Yeah, you gotta check out the thumbnails on IMDb, especially the one where he's in a red shirt looking at the computer.
Let's see. Oh man, he's really focused on it. It's good. That's how everybody looks at porn. Just to...
Yeah, you can only see one of his hands. So.
Oh, he's going at it.
I think this is a movie that supports my boycotting YouTube movies.
Oh
I
no,
mean,
this is a
Lugcast
classic.
movies.
Come on, this looks like a classic. This
It's
is going to
rated
be great.
TV-14 too.
Yeah. Does this have James Wood? No, okay, James A. Woods, not James Woods. I was going to say James Woods is in this movie. Jeremy Sumpter, Lindsay Fonse. I don't know who any of these people
Kelly
are.
Lynch.
She sounds familiar.
I think she was in Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, known for Drugstore Cowboy, Charlie's Angels, Virtuosity.
Yep.
So
Oh, and
that's
Nicole Dicker in a movie about porn. Great.
it. Surely this has to be on YouTube.
I can't imagine it's not.
It's a Lifetime movie. No wonder.
That sounds about right.
There's lots of clips of it on here. There's one that says bootleg Lincoln Park.
What?
Must have been some music they played in the background. Man, there's a million clips of this movie on YouTube. This must have some great moments on it. This whole movie is just a meme. All right. Well, I guess the movie itself is not on here, though. I'll have to track it down and put it up. Huh.
Section 2005.
Yeah, that's a movie that should belong on the top shelf. Far out of reach.
It sounds interesting. I can't wait to watch it. This would be good as like a group watch or something.
What was that Pee Wee Herman quote? Watch it. I lived it.
Right. Rest in peace, Paul Rubens. All right. Well, I can't wait. Honestly.
All right. Well, I think we should start with the massive update you did to everything.
So, what spurred this on? Two things. All right, we're talking about my server update here. One was everything was loading so slow from the server, like Nextcloud, Lemmy, I don't even know like even Matrix I was having problems with, and the Jitsi was running real weird, and all this stuff. So I tried to track down the problem. I got it open here now. I think I've got like 15 Linux containers, each one running a service, and about 5 VMs. And they're nothing's like really CPU intensive or anything. And I looked, and what it was my I/O, disk I/O, was just always 20, 30%, which it should be below 1%. It should be 0 point something, you know. And so that was one impetus for this upgrade. The next was there was a message every time I opened ProxMox, which is a hypervisor, which is what I use to host everything on the server, that my version of ProxMox will stop receiving updates at the end of July, because I was on 7 and they're on 8. So, okay, I thought, well, I need to update ProxMox anyway, so I'll research and figure out why, because I'm using SSDs for storage why it's so slow. And I started looking in the ProxMox forums, and apparently consumer grade SSDs, which I was using, suck for hypervisors. Like, I just thought SSDs are SSDs, but they're really not. And they weren't bad. They were crucial. I mean not crucial. No, they were crucial, I think. Yeah. Well, I still got them. Yeah, they're crucial. And they were decent. They weren't bottom tier, but they were consumer grade. And what the difference is between consumer grade and what they call enterprise grade SSDs is enterprise SSDs have something called power loss protection, which means they can run for a few seconds without power, but it also means that they can cache sync writes in the DRAM cache. So this gives you much faster write performance because you're running everything to DRAM first instead of just the SSD. And there's different grades of enterprise too. But another thing is the NAND chips that they use to create the storage. There's different grades of those. I think mine were using SLC or something like that, a low grade, which is made for consumer SSDs. When high grade enterprise use like a TLC or a QLC. I think Samsung uses QLC and Intel's TLC, but so the NAND chips make a big difference too. So I had 3 SSDs, 2 4 terabytes and 1 2 terabyte in a LVM group, which just means logical volume manager, and it's kind of like a software RAID. Not really RAID, but it just groups all your disks together to make it seem like you got one disk. So I had about 10 terabytes of drives in an LVM group, all formatted as XT4, and which didn't give me compression either, and that means that they fill up and nothing's really compressed, and so I took those out and I looked on eBay, and from the forums, I wish I'd known all this stuff when I first made the server, but the forums say Intel and Samsung make good enterprise SSDs, and Intel quit making. They sold off their storage department actually to, I can't remember. You may know Lovecraft. You're in IT too. Hylinx or something like that. Anyway,
Hynix, Hynix.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, they're a memory manufacturer. Yeah.
Yeah, so they bought Intel's storage department, but you could still buy Intel SSDs, enterprise grade, used. And so I found some on eBay, and I was kind of worried about buying used SSDs, but I thought, well, if they're bad, I can hopefully get my money back or whatever. So I bought them, and I bought they're 3.84 terabytes a piece. There's 2 of them, and he wanted $290 a piece for them, and so or make me an offer, and the model number is D3-S4610, and so I offered him $270 a piece, and he took it. It was actually a pretty big reseller of server equipment on eBay, and so he shipped them out to me, and I plugged those in, and then also there was another suggestion was that you run your OS on a separate drive in your SSD than your storage for your VMs and containers, which I was doing already, but they said make sure the drive you use has DRAM on it. The SSD or the NVMe drive you have has DRAM on it. So I had to find one that had DRAM on it, and also under provision the disk, which basically only partitioned about 2/3 of the disk, because the rest of the empty space the SSD controller uses as wear leveling, which it's kind of needs to do that to make sure the disk runs efficiently and stuff. So my previous NVMe was 256 gigabytes. that I run the OS on, and sometimes I store stuff, backups, quick backups and stuff on that, and also ISOs of distributions I put on there that I'm going to load for my virtual machines and my Linux containers. And I was told upgrade your NVMe to one with DRAM, and also you'll probably want a bigger one. That way you only provision about 2/3 of it and use the rest for. So I upgraded that to 500 gigabytes. And that was a T500 Crucial, I think. And that one was about $70 from Micro Center. And so I bought that, and that's what I installed. First, I did a block discard on it, just destroyed everything on it, which I discovered you can't do via USB. You have to have like a SATA controller or a M.2 controller or whatever, to do that. So I had to, the only computer I really had that had that connection in it was the main server. So I took out the old drive and put the new one in there, and then I ran a block discard, BLK discard on it, and that is a not a smart function, a trim function of modern SSDs, and that just kind of wipes everything, gets rid of everything, and then during the installation, I went ahead and installed ProxMox anew, and during the installation, it gives you an option to only use part of the disk that you're installing the OS on. So that's what I did. So I only partitioned about 2/3 of it, which I still had. That's plenty of space on a 500 gigabyte drive for the OS and for anything else I need. So those are the two main things that I did. Everything else is the same. And I replaced the drives. And also, instead of doing just regular LVM XT4, I did a ZFS, used the ZFS file system for the drives. And what that did was gave me a lot of extra capabilities like caching and stuff like that. ZFS uses something called ARC, A-R-C, which is the type of RAM caching. So it's gonna what it does is it uses all the RAM your system has, kind of like modern OSs do when or if you look at your phone's RAM, it looks like it's taking all the RAM, but it's just the OS. It does that, but it'll release the RAM as your system needs it. But it uses that to cache data into RAM, into memory. Memcache, they call it. ARC is memcache. And so it uses that. And also, you can use compression in ZFS. You can pick the type of compression. They suggested LZW, so I chose LZW. So I have on those disks, which I chose RAID 0, which if a disk goes out, then the whole array goes out. But I'm not worried about it because I've got everything backed up to a backup server. Every day it does a backup. But, all in all, my Linux containers and VMs, those are probably, I'd say 4 terabytes of actual storage. But because of compression, it only takes up 2.81 terabytes, and I've got 7.52 terabytes total. So I've got plenty of extra room for more VMs and storage and things like that. And actually, before, my CPU was barely being used because the drives were always, or the CPU was always waiting on the drives to respond before it could process data. And that's what the high I/O delay was waiting on the SSDs to respond. So my CPU was hardly being used. It was just being bottle fed, basically, like drip fed from the SSDs. But now it's actually being used. The CPU is, and since the I/O delay is no longer an issue, and like everything is just super fast. Like Lemmy opens super fast. I use Bitwarden for my passwords. Mastodon, Nextcloud, all that stuff. Just instant pop up. And that's all because of those two things I did with the server. And then I installed the new ProxMox virtual environment. I think I'm on 8.22 now. So that's how my server upgrade went. So if I had known all this stuff in the beginning, instead of spending money on consumer SSDs for this, I would have just gone ahead and got the enterprise SSDs and the OS drive with DRAM on it. And I think that would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of headaches and stuff, because everything's running great now. The server's super snappy.
Yeah, well, the thing about the SSDs is one of the things about the consumer grade SSDs is that they have the server types have like 1 bit per cell, while the consumer grade use a more inexpensive structure that is several bits per cell. And of course, sorting all this out takes time, which slows the thing down and whatnot.
Right.
Also, because you're using more cells, writing to your SSD beats on the cells pretty hard when you're on the consumer grade stuff. Well, the 1 bit per cell, especially with appropriate wear leveling, isn't beaten on quite so hard. Yeah, I've got some SSDs, consumer grade, which use a cell pattern which is no longer available in your consumer grade stuff, because they just went to multi bit per cell or whatever patterns, because it was a lot cheaper. So a lot of what you're doing is you're going back to higher performance that was more available in your consumer grade stuff before they started really pushing the massive, when a big SSD was 250 gigabytes or whatever, they used a lot more expensive memory pattern.
Here's something interesting too about what you're talking about SSDs, consumer versus enterprise. It says consumer SSD is usually rated for 0.2 to 0.3 DWPD. That's drive writes, full drive writes per day. Read intense enterprise SSDs are usually at around 1 drive write per day. Enterprise SSDs for mixed workloads around 3 drive writes per day. Enterprise SSD for write intense workloads can be 10 drive writes per day or even higher. So you can write 10 times more data to an enterprise SSD with 3 DWPD compared to a consumer SSD with 0.3 DWPD without losing your warranty. Also, enterprise SSDs also got a way more spare capacity. This guy says he uses an enterprise 200 gigabyte SSD. They have a TBW of 3,600 terabytes. The durability is so high because of the better eMLC NAND chips. While they only got 200 gigabytes usable capacity, they actually have 336 gigabytes of storage, where 136 gigabytes are spare cells that will replace failed cells. A 240 gigabyte consumer SSD only has about 16 gigabytes of spare cells. So the cells make a big difference too on the NAND.
Yeah, well, that's why you have a 240 gigabytes consumer SSD. The cell size is 256, but the extra 16 is kept in reserve.
Now that makes sense too, because this is Enterprise, they don't list them as 4 terabytes. They list them as 3.84 terabytes, which I thought was a weird size, but I guess it has to do with the spare cells they have on the chip.
Also, back in the day, when you had enterprise hard drives, your hard drive would have spare tracks on it, so that if you had a bad track, there would be an alternate track that they'd copy the data to if it started flaking. So this is still following that same policy, is that the enterprise stuff has redundancy built in that most of your consumer stuff doesn't. I'm thinking that because on a lot of my HP minis, I'm thinking of pulling out the NVMe drives, eventually putting them in external cases, and just using a SATA SSD to reduce the heat generation in these poorly vented cases on some of my machines. I may go to a larger SSD, but the whole deal is the NVMe stuff generates a lot of heat, and if I put it external, I can use it. Maybe not get the maximum throughput on it, but then again, I'm not doing things like video editing or stuff that really needs a lot of throughput. And getting something that's more that doesn't produce heat that beats on my systems is far more helpful.
Man, it's a lot of burps. They also mentioned, because I found these on Amazon, they have a brand called Gigastone that says enterprise grade SSD, but they're suspiciously cheap. And they in the ProxMox forums, they were saying that don't get this brand. So if you're looking for enterprise grade, stick with the name that you know, and don't get no name brand enterprise SSD. And look on eBay, you can find some good deals on eBay.
I have apologies if I was passing gas, so I didn't hear it. But one of the things, I picked up some Brand X USB 3 flash drives, and when I came to install operating systems off of them and stuff, these drives labeled USB 3 were slower than my USB 2 drives.
Oh yeah. I've had that happen to me. Somebody gave me a 1 terabyte USB drive, supposedly USB 3, and it was slower than USB 2.
Yeah,
I think it was just a Chinesium or USB drive from Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I bought some Micro Center drives, like a 5-pack. It was purple. I think there was like 128 gig ones, and they were terrible. I had to write a bunch of small files to one, and it was just not happening. I'm like, and it got super, super hot too. Like
Really?
like you couldn't touch it for long hot. Yeah. I trashed them.
Yeah.
well, I've found that, like, I got some 128s, and I don't know what Micro Center does, but their Micro Center brand shit. I mean, their inland brand stuff seems okay, but the Micro Center branded flash drives at 128 just died on me almost instantly. Really cheap.
Yeah, I used to buy the micro SD cards, the Micro Center micro SD cards, and they were terrible. That is not worth the trade-off of bad performance for a little bit cheaper price. I don't know what they are. I'm sure they're just no name, from China, and which everything's from China, but I think they were just very low quality.
Yeah, I mean, I try to get, SanDisk or Samsung for my discs. But the Micro Center SSDs have worked out pretty good for me. I think I had one of them die after I had some power failure problems.
The inland, Brian?
Yeah, the inland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of replacing my 240 gigabyte SSDs with a terabyte in a bunch of my machines and just being done with it.
So the next project is to update the backup server, because ProxMox backup server is gone to version 3. I'm still using version 2, and that's probably going to be a lot hairier because I don't want to lose my backups. So I got to make sure I really follow the instructions carefully. This on the PVE, the virtual environment, I just reinstalled the OS. It was no big deal because I connected it to backup server and just pulled everything back over. It wasn't. It kept the same IP addresses and everything, but the backup server is a little bit different. So that'll be my next one, and then after that, I'm switching from Squarespace for my DNS and domain registrar to Cloudflare, because I loved Google when they were in control of it, but when they sold their DNS and domains business to Squarespace, I lost a lot of the features that I had with Google, like having a wildcard cert for all my domains and stuff. And I believe you can get that with Squarespace, but you have to buy their premium plan. And since I'm only paying $12 a year, it's not exactly premium. But everybody says great things about Cloudflare, so that's where I'm going to move everything to, Cloudflare. Not only just DNS, but also my domain. And I believe you can use Cloudflare DNS for free as well if you just want to use the DNS. But I'm going to move everything over there. Because I found out when my wildcard cert expired, every single service I had went offline, and I searched everywhere within the Squarespace interface because you can't do it through Nginx Proxy Manager with the wildcard cert to re-up it or whatever. That option wasn't available to me anymore. Luckily, I had saved all the old SSL certs from when I had generated a separate cert for each site before I switched to a wildcard cert for everything. But so I could get it back up pretty quick. But in the butt, trying to figure out what was wrong. So that's what I've been working on.
I'm kind of glad that I haven't done anything off-site, although I really do want to get back to doing pihole as an internal DNS so that I can just spin up different things and have them all with in-house DNS names and stuff.
I did update pihole too, which was incredibly easy. All you do is type pihole up, and it updates itself. And that's all you have to do.
Did you see it? Is Pi-hole gaining features, or was that just a bug fix release?
I was on an old release because I installed it via the RMBN config manager when I first put RMBN on my Rock 64, is that what it's called? Yeah. And so it was probably an old release, and when I updated it, like everything changed about the interface and all that stuff, and so I couldn't really keep track of what was different, but it did update the blacklist, ad blocking and stuff, because things that I had to do manually to block ads and on Amazon Video and Tubi before, I don't have to do anymore. It just skips over the ads automatically.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to redo that machine. I've got MX Linux on it, and I think I'm going to go with something that's more lightweight, because I don't need the full MX load for something that I'm going to be using as basically as a headless server.
Yeah, Pi-hole's been great. I remember when I first used it a long time ago, I had a lot of issues with it, but now that was several years ago. I don't have any issues. It's my DNS server, and it works great. Just type the address into your router and whitelist the things that you don't want to run through Pi-hole.
Well, one of the things I use pfSense as my router, and one of the things that I can do is it has Unbound built into it. So I can, with Pi-hole, I can use Pi-hole as my DNS, and the Unbound in my router as the upstream, so that I get authoritative references and whatnot automatically, and while I get the easy user interface of Pi-hole for manipulating my internal DNS.
Yeah, I just I went ahead and updated everything I could. Updated my wireguard server and all that stuff. That was really easy to do. And yeah,
I've really got to dig into wireguard, because I think a lot of things that I want to do, for instance, I don't know enough about wireguard, but I do like the old style FTP. That's dating myself from back in the day. And if I can create between my machines wireguard tunnels, I can bind the FTP servers to wireguard interfaces, so that while FTP is an insecure protocol, the tunnel provides enough security, especially for my in-house use. I wouldn't do this over the internet, but so that I can use the older protocols.
Why not just use SFTP?
Well, I might have some combination. I just like to be able to know how to use the stuff. Also, I need to learn how to configure WireGuard in various ways anyway, because that is the modern, in a lot of ways, it seems to be the next step above SSH rather.
Well, it's the next step above open VPN. I think pretty much all the major VPN providers are just WireGuard tunnels, basically. And what's cool about WireGuard is it's built into the kernel now, and you can install a tool. I use it's tool called WireGuard Manager, and you just run it from the command line, and it sets everything up for you. Basically, you just answered the questions that it has, and even generates a QR code that you can scan with your phone if you want to, you have the WireGuard client on your phone. That's how I got it on mine.
I don't think my slimline touch-tone phones can run the app.
No, I don't think so. But WireGuard Manager will configure everything for you. You just answer the questions it has, and I don't know if it's in the repos or if I installed it. No, actually, I didn't even install it. I found it on GitHub, but it was already part of Armbian if you just type WireGuard Manager. But you can install it.
Well, I think I'm... by the way, there's a resource that I must mention. It's a channel on YouTube, but it also has a separate website. It's called Awesome Open Source. And they have a bunch of WireGuard tools, among other things. And again, I need to dig in and figure out how that works, and figure out where I want to have where I want the WireGuard server versus the clients and whatnot. I know, or I believe, that for my use, my 8 gig Pi 4 is probably loafing for the limited uses that I have, and if I can throw more stuff onto it, it's probably more effective, more efficient.
Yeah, we haven't talked to you in a while. What's been going on with the Raspberry Pis? Anything new?
No, I've been largely using them as desktops. And again, I need to really get a handle on using Pi 5s as desktops and Pi 4s as in a more server role. And that's one reason why I want to experiment with it, with this new Q4 OS, which has well, it has that lighter weight. It's basically KDE 3 desktop, implemented with modern tools.
I just put a link in the show notes. I just read this article not too long ago. Well, I guess it came out yesterday. Never mind. Or no, day before yesterday. It says, can you use a Raspberry 5 as a desktop computer? And this guy, he gives his impression, and he says he was pretty impressed with what it can do as replacing your desktop. And he goes through all the things that all the paces he ran it through, and basically I said the only issue was heat, but he used an active cooler for that, and then it wasn't an issue.
And by the way, on your Pi 5, I would use the Geek Desk or whatever active cooler. It's easier to use than the official Pi active cooler because I had problems with a Pi 5. I even killed one. But the Geek Desk or whatever active cooler uses bolt together stuff which can be assembled and disassembled if you need to, while the Pi one used the Mickey Mouse plastic expansion plugs, which made putting it together and taking it apart a real pain.
So he bought the kit from Raspberry Pi. It came with the Raspberry Pi 5 8GB model, the official Raspberry Pi keyboard and mouse, official power adapter, micro HDMI to HDMI cable, micro SD card loaded with Raspberry Pi OS, and then the active cooler. And so he bought the whole kit. I'm not sure how much that costs.
Yeah,
the whole kit.
Well, the kit. Yeah, well, that Pi cooler, I had a bunch of problems with it, and I've also had problems trying to install passive cooling on a Pi 5. The directions were shit, and a couple of things just didn't work. But yeah, since I'm going to be assembling my stuff using the Pi 5 bits that I've already got, power supply and stuff, I probably won't be buying a kit. I certainly have keyboards and whatnot enough coming out my ears.
He said he really liked the default Raspberry Pi OS with the Pixel desktop is what it's called, environment based on LXDE.
Yeah, it is. I haven't tried it recently. I tried it on my Pi 4s, and I found it to be a little limiting if you're used to more being able to configure stuff the way that you would with like MX or Linux Mint or something, a little more. Also, however, if you're just going to run a single desktop out of the box, it's probably a pretty good platform for that stuff. It's just if you've got more experience, you'll run into the training wheels aspect.
Yeah, he said he compared it to using a mid-range i3 processor laptop, which is pretty good, for a Raspberry Pi, I think.
Well, I found MX to be working pretty decent on the Pi 5.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, you're getting about that. Also, because I tend to get a lot of tabs, and don't use the memory conservation features of the Chrome OSs. I'm going to have to look into that. I can beat on them pretty hard, but I've had good luck with my with my Pi 5 desktop, and even the Pi 4s have been okay for YouTubing and stuff. I might even do my next show for my Pi 5. Somebody gave me a discarded Turtle Beach headset, and I just have to figure out how to use it with my with a Brand X audio USB audio adapter that I've got, or I would have used it tonight. I'm gonna have to try it out and get Mumble configured and all of that with it, but it should be pretty good. Anyway, that's the name of that tune. Here's something. Has anybody had any experience with using software RAID with drives interfaced through USB?
What type
No.
of software RAID are you trying to do?
Like LVM or?
No, I'm trying to do it more probably mirroring.
I have not.
Nope.
No, but something like mirroring, I can't see that it's going to be that difficult to do.
No, I'm just looking for experiences. So Minnix, you've done LVM?
Oh yeah. Yeah, in fact, when I had an actual desktop that I used all the time, I used LVM to manage several drives in it, and then I used it for ProxMox too.
Well, I mean, I've got a bunch of SSDs around here, and
But I never did it USB.
okay, you never did it USB, all right.
But I don't see where it would be a problem. It might not be as quick, but
Well, most of the app, again, I don't do streaming video or whatnot. So quick is not or gaming or anything like that. So software RAID is more about getting some more redundancy in my systems, and again, I have, for what I do, I have a lot of excess storage, so I could easily create mirrored systems that would use the consumer SSDs that I've got sitting here on the shelf, or even a couple of laptop hard drives, and produce some better, more reliable desktop backup storage or core storage.
I found Cyber Seduction on archive.org. So that's where you can find it. That in the show notes. Throw them a couple bucks too. While you're at it, they're in some legal trouble right now.
Yeah, have you heard any more updates on that?
I have not. I think they're still. I mean, the EFF is handling their case for them. It's all about that library that they put out for emergency library during the pandemic or something. It's what the case stems from. And
Yeah, I
as
saw
far
like a headline a while ago that said like this was like their last gasp or something like that, and
yeah,
I was like, oh well, what's come of that? So I didn't know if there was any further.
honestly, I don't know what to believe. You know, so many websites sensationalize everything. I don't know if it's as serious as they say or what. But I mean, I haven't heard anything as far as the case goes as progress in a little while, so I don't know where they stand as far as that
Yeah.
goes. But I'd hate to see them go, man. That I was talking to Honky earlier. I posted a link to something called the VHS Vault on internet.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh man, it's like 182.3 terabytes of VHS rips of just everything you can think of, every genre, every like infomercial, every they have a whole collection of those 1-900 sex chat lines, advertisements
Nice.
on there, and just all kinds of cool old stuff that, you know, a lot of it never made it to DVD. There's like a lot of instructional videos. One is funny. I looked at one is called like Tantric Sex or something like that, and it's just an old man, like somebody who you definitely don't want to hear talking about this stuff, and he's got like this drawing board, and he's drawing like different positions and stuff on it, tantric positions, and
Oh wow.
it's like 2 hours long of him talking about this crap. It's called like the Wiccan and Tantric Sex something.
Did you sit there with like a little notepad and
Yeah,
taking
I had
notes?
my
Going,
notepad
oh, really?
out and,
Yeah.
and taking notes from this
Well,
wise old man.
You know, that's yeah, tantric stuff is, well, it's different, and it's part of a whole new age, you know, crystals and tantric, and
Yeah, this dude was definitely a new ager by the looks of him.
People were saying Sting was supposed to be into that back in the
Yeah,
90s
I
or
remember
something
that.
like that. I remember I was like, everyone's like, oh, Sting, yeah, all right.
He talked about like 10-hour sessions, tantric lovemaking sessions and stuff like that.
I don't got time for that.
No, I don't either. Sting's got
Called
plenty
a
of money.
5-minute mile.
Sting doesn't have to be in bed by a certain time.
hey, yeah, well, Lovecraft, well, has quality far above Sting's quantity.
Well, thank you. I just don't have that kind of time to 10 hours. That's a lot of time.
Well, actually, I was indirectly referring to the quality of your partnership.
I know, I was just joking, man. That's
I mean, yeah, yeah. Anyway, whatever.
Do you guys follow Jason Scott? He actually works for the Internet Archive, and he has his own podcast. He's like one of the hands-on guys who's written some of the scripts and stuff that they use to categorize things, and he's also he's made a couple of like documentary films. He's the guy who did BBS, the documentary about bulletin board systems and stuff.
I haven't seen that. I want to see it.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, if you were in the scene, it's really cool. But even if you're not like really tuned into it, it's pretty good. I think he also did the Get Lamp, which is about Zork, the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's done some pretty cool stuff, but he's worked for the Internet Archive now for a while, probably like a decade or so.
Wow.
He has a podcast, and he just talks about, a different aspects, like maybe like 15, 20 minutes, but he's never mentioned any of the legal problems or anything like that. And because he's not specifically talking about the archive, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was interested to hear any more about it and stuff. And it's just a shame if something bad comes out of it.
Those documentaries should sound like movies that should be on our list.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, for sure. The Zork one and the BBS one would be great.
Yeah.
Jason Scott talks his way out of it. I think
Yep, that's
that's
it.
what I found. The name of the podcast. Oh, yeah, he talks about all kinds of stuff. Processes involved in digitizing physical media.
Yeah, he had an episode a while ago where someone found a I guess one of these storage auctions where somebody didn't pay the rent on a storage bin, and it had like, I don't know, thousands of VHS tapes in it. And
Oh my God.
he put out the word and basically crowdsourced enough money to buy this locker up in, I think it was up in Connecticut, and then had some volunteers help truck all this stuff, and they started digitizing it and putting it in the into the Internet Archive. It's pretty cool. He's done a bunch of stuff like that.
All right, I got it marked on my podcatcher. Check it out.
Well, Honky's got some stuff.
What was he doing?
I think he's
Slapping a bug.
I think he's killing a bug. Yeah.
There's a massive fly that got into here, and I'm just... Son of a bitch just keeps on flying from over there, and then right in front of, like, right by my head, and then back and forth, back and forth. Gotta kill it.
You haven't gotten it yet?
No, I haven't got it yet. No, but I did get the computer finally up and working.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if you might be able to hear the whirring in the background right now.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna. So because of that, and probably the amount of power that thing is probably gonna be pulling down. It's not like it's some big mass beast, anyways. But I got two fans on either side of it, plus the GPU fans, the CPU fan, and the fan for the power supply. So there's a bunch of fans in there, and anytime that I put this thing to work, they all start whirring and really sucking up some power. So I finally I bought a Asus motherboard off of eBay for like $30 or something. I slapped the thing in there, and everything just worked.
Great.
Yeah,
Finally.
everything just absolutely worked. I got, like I said, I had there was a fan that came with it. There was a fan. I had a fan that I had taken off of the one of the older things, so I got two fans in there. I after looking at things and having, because the way I had to like seat the CPU fan on there and stuff, I'm almost looking. I found like a relatively cheap liquid cooling fan for the CPU. I might try to set up something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it looks relatively easy. You just plop it on the top the same way you would anything else. Then it's got like two fans that just kind of get mounted to the back, and then it just kind of circulates the cooling on
pump
it.
in there.
And if I do that, I might look into overclocking the CPU on there. But because of the fact of the fans and the electricity used for it, I wanted to do Wake on LAN, and I found out that Wake on LAN is stupid simple. Like,
Yeah.
I quite literally went to, like, I have DDWRT installed on this router here. I went to DDWRT. They have a section for Wake on LAN. I looked at it and it said, all of these have Wake on LAN available to it already. Choose one, which one you want to add. I chose that computer, and I just clicked on Wake Computer, and it just woke it up. That was it. I did nothing in Ubuntu at all, because I want to say Ubuntu 2404 on there. I did nothing in Ubuntu at all. I may have set it up already in the BIOS, or it might have already been set up by default in the BIOS. I don't recall which. All right, it must have just finished rendering the picture because you can hear all the fans finally start to die off.
Yeah.
It got a
I thought
little
that was
quieter.
the fly you were talking about when I heard that
No.
noise.
No, he is a big bastard though. Holy hell! Surprised you can't see him on the camera.
Yeah. Also, I need to play around with that, because if I do that, I may actually get into doing some ProxMox type stuff or whatnot. I know that my HP minis have wake on LAN capabilities, and that could be really helpful to be able to wake them up, use them as a server, and then shut them down remotely.
So shutting down, I found out So, does anybody know that is there a better way besides halt that H
A what now?
to shut
To
down?
shut down?
Yeah,
Yeah, shut down. Shut down now.
shut down dash now.
No dash, just space now.
Just
You can do
shut
the
down now?
shutdown with nothing, and I think it's 60 seconds or 90 seconds it shuts down, or
Okay.
shut down space now, and it'll shut it down gently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've basically just been holding down the power button on it, and then
Yeah,
usually
don't do
that just the power button on the computer itself, not shutting like the power off on it, so just completely off.
Oh, I thought
You
you
hold the
meant
power button, it usually goes through a shutdown
I
mode.
thought you meant the switch on the back of the power supply.
No, not on the power supply. Not just completely boom done. That's never any good.
Yeah.
But I've used halt.h, but halt.h just kind of it like shuts down the process, like the operating system halts, but the computer still seems to be awake still,
Yeah.
like the light's still on it and stuff. So yeah, all right, I'll try shut down now, because that's I like the wake on LAN, because it's pretty. I can get into the wake on LAN pretty quickly through the router, and I can always just SSH into it and then just have it shut down. I'll run a couple processes. Like I've just now generated a couple of pictures. So I've noticed with the new GPU that it's not a whole lot faster when it comes to generating images. I may need to go in and tweak some of the things again. So when I redid it, and because of the fact of it was completely new hardware, the old install of Ubuntu didn't recognize the network card on the new hardware. So I said,
Oh,
fuck
really?
it, and I just completely wiped the thing out and then
Started
reinstalled.
over.
Yeah, I mean, installing to install Stable Diffusion is nothing. I mean, it takes no time whatsoever. The hardest part, I think, was trying to figure out all of the proper keywords to put into it to get it to run properly on a non-NVIDIA GPU, and you got to put it so you enable third-party application. Third-party plugins, enable it so you can connect to it remotely. Yeah, once you get all of those, it's a little bit easier. The process of installing it is you basically downloading it, downloads and installs everything. So
How'd you find the performance for running Stable Diffusion?
But with the new GPU,
Yeah.
like I said, it's not really much. I just rendered a picture. It did it in 4 minutes, 1.3 seconds. The picture's awesome. I've noticed that beforehand, if I changed, swapped out a checkpoint, it would crash on me. Now I could swap out checkpoints. I've downloaded and tried using a LoRa. It crashes when I try to use a LoRa with it. So I'm not sure how training is going to be, but I definitely like the fact that I've been able to beforehand, because when I tried to swap out checkpoints, it would crash. I would have to have that one checkpoint be the only one that's in the folder. So I'd be constantly having to go in and physically swap those files out. But But this way I can actually swap them out and just keep going. So I've downloaded like 2 so far. Yeah, what do I have? Oh, the other one I wasn't named, I don't think. Either way, if you notice on I want to say Civiti, but CIVIPI. A lot of their stuff.
AI.
Civet AI.
Civet AI, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of their stuff is based on like a lot of the lures and stuff are based on Pony, which is almost like the somebody did like a My Little Pony type of thing, but a lot of it is very anime type of based. I found one that was called Pony Fine Tune version 3.5. It makes some really nice pictures. I'm still trying to. My big reason for doing it is I want to try to create different type of more enemies or enemies for the game I'm trying to make, but just to play around with it and trying to get like the right angle for some of the pictures is difficult. I found that like if I'm going to try to create zombies, if I put it as the wording for it as zombies running, there's a better chance I'm going to be able to see the zombie as opposed to just a head or just from like torso or whatever. So I've been playing around with the wording to try to get images that I'm looking for, but the pictures are great. I mean, let's see. I don't know how. I know I can do this.
What was the resolution you're outputting at? The last one you did that took 4 minutes.
512 by 512. Sample. I mean, that's the size. Mordancy. Yeah. CFG scale 7. It's a 512 by 512 image.
Is it a PNG? Is that what it generates?
Yeah, I believe so. Oh.
You're there.
Blurry.
Mordancy.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna open up Element and I'll see if I'll upload it to the picture I just did to Element.
Okay. I added those 2 movies to the list: BBS, the documentary, and Get Lamp, the Zork story.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, they're both Jason Scott.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting dude. Yeah, he's done a lot of interesting stuff.
Really, he did another one called DEF CON, the documentary. That'd be cool. Let me add that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. That sounds pretty cool.
The company you worked for before I went to the internet are paid for a lot of Cleveland, Ohio hacker convention.
Your connection is bad or something. It's cutting out, Mordancy.
So I just uploaded the picture to Matrix, the last one I just did.
Well, after the show, Mordancy, I have an interesting tip. If I can remember it, I should have. It reminded me of you. It's a personal thing from about Michael Caine. Yeah. Oh, Honkey.
Is there?
If you have fan issues as far as noise, I've heard Nokia, maybe the Magic Bullet, to replace Brand X fans with something that's whisper quiet.
Okay, that's good to know. It's see, like right now it's pretty quiet, but that's because it's not doing anything.
Do I sound better now?
Yes, you sound much better. You can't see
I was
you.
on the
You're like,
hotel Wi-Fi.
Yep.
you look like a blur, but we can hear you much better.
Yeah, we can hear
Well,
Video's a little blurry.
yeah, you don't sound quite as good as L, but you never do.
No.
I didn't see it
I
come
don't.
through the matrix. Monkey. Put it in the right room. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I put it in the wrong group. Hold on.
They're just.
I put it in the New Year's show group.
It's just, what is this random picture Honky's uploading?
How are you feeling, Mordancy?
Feeling okay.
I see it. Oh, that's cool.
More or less.
That's pretty neat, Honky.
Yeah. It's going to be a bad guy?
Well, again, I'm just trying to generate some images, and I'm trying to figure out with the right wording because I want. If a lot of times it's like the old Final Fantasy style RPGs where it'll have the like 3 of the characters, and then it has your guys on the right hand side,
Right.
and it goes through the whole battle motions. But I need to have those guys like the werewolf. I would need to have the full body of the werewolf,
right,
as opposed to just like a picture. If I needed like something where the character was talking, then this would be perfect for it.
Right.
But I need something where it's the full body of it, and I'm trying to
So
figure
it's
out what the
figuring
right
out
wording.
the prompt.
Right,
That's the hard part. Yeah,
that's what I've been going with. I've been trying running a lot because running a lot of times for the image you would get just most of the body for it because they want to show off the running.
Yeah.
But that's the
Are
type.
Are you tweaking it out with like negative prompts too?
I have not played around with negative prompts too much.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
The ones I was messing with, I was doing like not high quality, stuff like that to try and change it up a little bit. And I don't know that's if you remember that the William Shatner with the lightsaber. That I posted. That's what I was using some of that to fiddle around with that. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, I enjoy the hell out of it. That's why I built the machine for it, and that's why I'm playing around with it so much.
Got a cool little hobby going now.
Yeah. I'm hoping that
Be a prompt engineer.
I'm hoping this GPU I can train some stuff, but if not, there's a lot of stuff out there that I can just that I can pull from and something going. But yeah, this checkpoint does a lot of like anime / cartoony looking stuff. I mean, I really like that picture. It's not what I need, but it's still a really good picture. And I've gotten a couple of those where they look. It's not what I need, but it looks really cool.
Well, you'll figure it out. Just keep playing with it.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna probably play around with the hardware a little bit, try to make it a little bit quieter and stuff, and I'm gonna play around with this. Oh, it's fun. That's what I've been working on. Mordancy, you been working on anything?
I have been working on my my Star Labs laptop. I got it decked out with stickers. None of them Linux.
None of them.
No, and I didn't wear any Linux shirts at the convention either. I have all Kali shirts.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
And I'm working on all 3 cloud and 2 of the cloud instances with Nginx, trying to get stuff working. When I was in one of the talks, I got all my subdomain redirects into the containers working, and then had problems with the certificates, and then I turned off force
SSL.
force SSL, and then they started working. It showed the lock and everything, and then like 10 minutes later they all stopped working. So I don't know. I don't know what updated in between that made it stop work. I'm so confused.
And that's frustrating when something works temporarily.
Yeah, so I think I'm about to the point where I'm gonna go back and wipe them out. But did you guys see the sketch start for Lugcast Labs?
Oh, is that what that was? In Matrix?
Yeah. So my goddaughter that does talk to me is trying to do art commissions and not go back to working retail. She's trying to figure out how to make enough money to make her car payment, insurance, and gas every month with art. And so I'm trying to help her out. And we started with she sketched a real quick tux. She looked at pictures of tux, and she sketched tux with a lab coat on. And I was like, a scientist, Lugcast lab with tux and a like a lab coat, but then have server racks and stuff in the background for like a lab, computer lab. And she started doing Erlenmeyer flasks and beakers and Bunsen burner. And I was like, oh, it'd be great. We could use Penguin and then the seal for Podman, the seal and Penguin, and have them be like Jesse and Walter in Breaking Bad, where they're on the couch in the yellow hazmat suits with the respirators on their head, relaxing in the middle of the cook.
I just answered the I didn't know what that was. In the Lugcast lab.
I found a place that you can do rolls of stickers, and we could get like 500 stickers printed for like $120, $150. So if you guys come to OLF, we could give out stickers and maybe print some pins if we can come up with a logo for Lugcast Lab. Yeah, and I think there should be a Linux distro symbol in the middle of the two laptops. Maybe for whatever. If we stick with Debian, or if we switch to something else for the Lugcast Lab host system.
Right.
Just ideas I was thinking about. I think it's cool to hand out stuff when I'm at the Linux conventions.
Yeah.
I've done buttons in the past. Printed up a bunch of distros, and one of the guys from work. Pardon?
You did gummies at one time. Caffeine gummies, right?
Yeah, I had homemade vitamin-rich caffeinated gummies. The only question the one guy asked me was whether I was from Georgia or not. He didn't want them if I was from Georgia. But when I said, no, I'm from Columbus, Ohio, he was like, cool, and he grabbed a whole handful and ate them. But Cracker Jack, who joined the Matrix once on one podcast, I helped him with his Linux setup on x86 for the 3D printing. He has a bunch of printers and cameras set up, and I helped him get the Pi specific software running. Like the Pi user ID is embedded in everything, and not being a Windows user, he's not comfortable with sudo and chmod, and for whatever reason he was in sudoers, but it wasn't working on Debian 12, so I had to show him how to alter Etsy sudoers so his sudo would work. But anyway,
where are you right now?
I'm in the hotel room in North Carolina for the Southeast Linux Fest. Yep. It's all Monty Python themed. There's a bunch of moose and llama jokes. Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm having a wonderful time. I've been to a couple of really good talks. There was a 100 rapid fire tips you may not know about the Linux command line. There were only a couple I didn't know, but there was a lot of things I was like, yeah, a lot of people don't know these things. easy to miss.
Next spring, I may want to see if I can get down to Vintage Computer Fest East. I think it's in Jersey.
Oh, you can meet Lovecraft
It is. Yeah, I think it's in Wall, something like that. Like, it's about 90 minutes from me.
Well, since I don't drive, it's getting there could be most of the fun.
You can pick up Tony on the way.
Actually, I have a little bit of Tony news.
Oh, you do?
Well, sort of. I sent Tony a text message. It just said, "Tony, hey, was just wondering how you're doing." And looks like Tony doesn't own that phone anymore.
Oh, no.
Some guy was writing me back like, "Oh, who are you? And how old are you?" And like asking me a bunch of suggestive questions.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that wasn't Tony. So I called
Tony's getting very naughty.
I called the voice number again, and it's
12.
it's Magic Jack. He has it actually says it's Magic Jack before it transfers to voicemail. So I left him a voicemail, but haven't heard anything. So I just told him, the guys are asking for you. I hope you're doing well, and hopefully see you again on the show soon. But I left him my number, told him to give me a call. So we'll see what happens.
Man, I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah, it's a little weird to be like creeped out by like some dude on the no, it's just like whatever.
Actually, a good friend of mine, I don't know how somebody did it, but somebody has rooted her phone and is playing all kinds of games, listening in, limiting her access to stuff, all sorts of really strange shit.
That's crazy.
I don't know cell phones, but it's very
They've installed some kind of spyware on there. It sounds like.
well, something I don't know how it happened, but she's had a lot of problems with stuff like this, and
Did a jealous ex-boyfriend or something?
well, there was some time ago. She got a piece of property that well, it was evidently a very prideful little community, and when one of the people found out that she wasn't prideful, they started doing a lot of dirty tricks, and I think that may have been when they got an inspired hacker to mess with her phone and otherwise cause problems. And well, I hope you guys will wish me luck. I'm going for my first doctor's appointment of the year on Friday the 13th.
Oh, really? Friday the 13th.
Yeah. If I don't show up for the next show, you can believe that it didn't go well.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, yeah.
Wait,
You don't feel too bad, do
what
you?
month? Isn't next Friday the 14th?
I thought it was the 13th, but maybe it's the 14th.
Don't miss your appointment.
I haven't had good luck. I know it's next Friday, so I know enough about that. Besides, I got a friend giving me a ride, so I have backup.
Well, good luck.
Yeah. Well, um, this medical professional was working with another outfit, and the conglomerate that had set up the clinics for the outfit she was working, Village Medical, decided they didn't like working with Massachusetts, so they closed their places in Massachusetts, so she had to bounce to another place. So this is like her third employer in a year. Hopefully this one sticks.
Do doctors still make house calls? Is that still a thing? No.
I don't think so.
Yes, they do.
Oh, they
do
do.
it. They do it by Zoom.
Oh, okay. Teledoc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
telemedicine.
Yeah. Actually showing up at your door. Not on your life.
VNA hospice, that's about it.
Yeah. And anyway, yep, this also, I not only have to go to this doctor's visit, I have to do the introducing, filling out all the forms for my insurance and whatnot, and then trying to get my medical records from both Village Medical, where I had a physical last fall, and part of the Stewart group, which at least in its larger forms of hospital ownership has been having trouble in Massachusetts. So I don't know how much fun getting my old records are going to be. But that's how come they have record professionals. I will just have to sign some permissions and hope that they can pull it out of the ether or out of escrow or wherever they keep it these days.
You want to hear my top 5 controversial list?
Right, I completely forgot about your list
Oh,
you
yeah.
were promoting before or whatever, teasing us with.
Are you ready? Everybody's ready for this. All right, that's it. So I think last top 5 was the top 5 reasons not to use a dating app. This top 5 list is the top 5 computers. And I ranked them from worst to best. Top 5 computers. And I have an honorable mention before I start number 5. Number 5 is smartwatch. Smartwatch is honorable mention. It's a computer that you wear on your wrist, and it's low powered, but it can tell you various information. You can talk to it. It can track your activities. Is
it a computer or is it a peripheral?
I think it's a computer.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's a computer. Yeah, it's a computer. It's a little ARM computer. ARM, as in you wear on your How you like that little pun? So that's what I give honorable mention. I enjoyed my smartwatch. I like it because It has a SIM in it too, so I can make calls without having to carry around my phone, stuff like that. So honorable mention goes to the smartwatch. Number 5 is the mobile computer, such as the cell phone, the tablet, the phablet, basically any kind of PDA, all those that group into one called a mobile computer. Cell phones are pretty good, but I still haven't decided. Now, when I say cell phone, I mean smartphone and / tablet. I haven't decided yet if they are a net positive or a net negative for humanity, because there's a lot of people that I think should not have internet access that do, and they access the internet via their smartphone. You get a lot of good information from your smartphone, but I think the way that most people use it, not talking about us necessarily, but just the majority of the population, for texting, for talking, that part is good, but I think people waste a lot of time on social media or TikTok or things that don't add value to their life. They do a lot of arguing online. It's kind of pointless because you're never going to convince anybody of anything, which you can do with any computer. But I think the smartphone, especially with Twitter / X use, has made it a lot more accessible for people without actually thinking what they're typing, just to fire out some hot opinions or whatever, some hot takes. And I think with all the positives and all the negatives added up, I still haven't. What do you guys think? I still haven't decided whether the smart device is. I'm talking about for like humanity as a whole, whether it's a positive or a negative.
So I think, well, you have to differentiate. I mean, some people use a tablet the same way they do as a phone, but I mean, I've never.
See, I
Me
look at a
personally,
tablet as like a media consumption device.
tablet is a media consumption. It's my portable television. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's what I use. I use it basically. Its sole purpose is to watch something when I'm away from my television. I only use it for streaming video. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say maybe a browser, but I don't think I really. It's a bigger screen. I'd probably be better off using it as a browser, but I use the phone more than anything for the browser. I don't put any social on it. I don't put anything else on it.
But you're not the typical user, I would say.
I'm far from the typical user.
Yeah,
but
I mean, as a typical user who, I think a lot of them use it just to waste time. They just waste time that they could be doing something constructive, or they become addicted to it. And like digital addiction supposedly is a real thing now, where people like they panic if they don't have their smartphone with them, and they have to keep tabs on everybody's life on social media and stuff like that.
But that's a weird thing called FOMO, that fear of missing out on something. So they got to check everything every couple of minutes, that they're gonna miss out on what the next big thing is, or something big is gonna happen and they're gonna miss out. I don't understand. There's nothing. I don't care.
So would you say that smartphones have been a net positive or net negative?
I want to say it's a positive.
Why?
Because it's.
Now, I'm differentiating smartphones from the early mobile phones that you could still text and call people from to the smartphone.
See, I want to say it's a positive, but I'm trying to come up with a good argument for the positive. There's a lot of arguments you can make for the negative side, because there's a lot of people out there who lack self-control, and those people. Those people are do it so much that they show up as, it almost seems like it's the norm, because of how bad some of these people are.
Especially younger people that can't ever remember life before smartphones.
Because they don't know it for the most part.
Right.
They've always kind of had it.
Now, what do you think about smartphone use in school? Think that should be allowed?
No.
I think
when
students enter the
tablet
school
all day long anyways.
They should have a locker or a container where you put your phone, then you get it as you leave school. That's what I think should happen.
So I think the only reason you should ever have the phone in school is to communicate with a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But you
remember
can't
the way we
control
used to do is you used to get an intercom call to come to the office and then talk to your parents that way.
Right. But I mean, well, you know what? They could find out after they get out of school, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's much more of a distraction than anything else when it's used in school.
Right. Like, I mean,
I also think it's led to like the whole helicopter parent phenomenon, where since the kid has a phone now, the parent feels like they have to be in contact and know where the child is at every minute of the day, even if they're at school. It's like, I know friends of mine whose kids have smartphones, and they're texting them while they're in school, like telling them things that can wait till after their classes are done. I think that's pretty dumb.
I agree that whatever it is that you have to tell them could probably wait until after classes are done. Being a helicopter parent, I don't think is anything that's new, because of I like the idea that I could probably when my children have more of, like, my daughter has a phone, kind of. It only runs on, there's no SIM card in it. It only runs on Wi-Fi, and basically the only things on there is like Voxer, so we can contact her, and I think that's really sorry. Voxer's about it, but it still has like the GPS. I was going to use it at one point as just for the GPS, and so I turned on the GPS on it. So technically, it has the tracking on it. So she could probably, if she had it on her and she went somewhere else, I could probably track where she is with that. Oh man, you always get worried because there's a lot of scary people out there. It seems like that
there is, but I was about to say you could make the argument that most of these scary people have moved online to services that kids use and are not so much IRL threats anymore as they are, talking to kids on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and getting to know them and making connections with them when the kids don't know this is an actual adult I'm talking to, and talking them into doing things they wouldn't normally do. I think that danger is starting to move online more than definitely more than it has before the advent of smartphones.
I think it might be easier to do something like that online.
Yeah.
And you have to find the right group for it. And then as a parent, you should be aware of what online things your children are doing.
And most aren't.
That's because most
parents
don't care.
Aware. Yeah, they don't care.
But then you have to.
They don't know they don't know about the dangers either.
Well,
there's some very manipulative adults out there that talk to your kids online. You have no idea who they're talking to.
But then that comes to the point of, where do you draw the line between being a helicopter parent and just trying to keep your kids safe?
I think it's not so much the helicopter parent thing as I think parents aren't changing their mindset from real world threats to online threats as quickly as they should. I think there needs to be a larger shift to what your child is doing online than there is currently. I think a lot of parents just think, oh, it's just the internet. What could it harm or something like that? But I think that's where most of those predators are, is online now.
I think there are a lot online, but I don't think they just went from, hey, I'm no longer going to try to pick up kids on this, try to the gray van with no windows, trying to get the kids candy and lure them into the van. I don't think those people moved to.
I think they have. I think most of them have.
I think the landscape has just broadened. I don't think it's changed. I think those people are still out there.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're still out there, but I just think they're using more modern techniques now to predate upon kids.
Right, but again, I don't think that the landscape has changed. I believe it's broadened.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, but that's cell phone.
Yeah, we could probably have the cell phone argument for quite some time here.
Okay, number 4. Is the single board computer. Number 4 on my list. I would say, even though there were very small mobile computers before the Raspberry Pi kind of kicked it off at a cheap enough price where everybody could afford it, and also creating a community around computing that really got people interested. So, and from there, it's kind of blossomed. Just like, even though there was the G1 was the first Android smartphone, it was really the iPhone that kind of kicked everything off as far as smartphones go, I believe. And I think the Raspberry Pi did the same thing for single board computers. I think it's brought a lot of people into the hobby because it's affordable, and or it used to be affordable, not as much anymore. But I think it's also helped with the adoption of new architectures like RISC-V and things like that. You see a lot more cheap single board computers and microcontrollers using RISC-V, which is always good to have an open instruction set like that. I think people, especially you start to see the stores like Micro Center have a whole section of just for micro computer or small single board computers and hobbyist accessories and things like that. Since Radio Shack went away, I think more people are paying attention to this kind of hobby again. And plus, I think that in some cases, like Netminer's case, that's all he needs is a single board computer. I think just watch a few videos, browse the internet, and it's affordable, and it's just opened up a whole new. Also, it's been very good for open source and for Linux in general, because these original single board computers, there's no way they could run Windows or anything like that. They needed a really small operating system just to run, and I think it's really helped advance Linux as far as more people learning it than they ever have before, because before you just had your regular computer and you just ran Windows and that's all you knew. But if you wanted to get into this new scene of single board computing, Windows just wasn't going to cut it anymore. You'd have to learn Linux, and they have millions of uses. But I would say that's my number 4 pick would be the single board computer.
So what drove me nuts with the single board computer was the people who would buy a single board computer going, okay, now what am I going to do with it?
Right, not having no use for it.
When I first started hearing about
FOMO too, right? When you agree?
It definitely is. But it was When I first started hearing about the single board computers, I believe it was probably Door talking about the Raspberry Pi and talking about trying to set up different types of like file sharing servers or different types of small servers. And the big part of that really appealed to me was the fact that power consumption was very small. You just plugged in this little thing, and space, power consumption, and you had a little Linux computer, a little Linux server, and there was several operating systems, and then things like DiaPi came around, where to install a server was just a fucking checkbox. All you had to do was install it in the initial run. In the initial run, you just clicked a couple of checkboxes. You want this server, this server, this server, and you were off to the races automatically. And I still feel that way. I still enjoy the fact that it's low power consumption. The same amount of power that it takes to charge my phone is running this server.
Right.
You know, and I may have several of them running at a time, but they're not really consuming anything.
Plus, they're not taking up hardly any space either.
They're taking up no space whatsoever. And I am not going to argue with your theory that something like a computer running ProxMox is better, because it's probably hands down better for doing all these things that my single board computers are doing. But I enjoy having them, and it's like I said, it's low power consumption. I can, if need be, I can take them away, put them up. I don't know.
I love them. I still love single board computer. I mean, I'm running still those old Rock 64s, that we got from Amazon, and
yep,
and they're no moving parts. Everything is runs solid. It's very stable. Super cheap.
I liked it when they were cheap. I don't like the fact that they keep on going up and up and up in price. I mean, you can't argue with the power of them, but they keep going so high up in price that it loses its initial appeal.
Yeah.
How much did we spend on those the Rock 64s?
They were under $20, I think.
They were like $20 at least, and those have been great.
Yeah, and I've gotten so much use out of them too.
I know. Those have been great. That's my what the hell is it called? The Jesus Christ. One is
Etherpad?
No, Etherpad's my old Banana Pi.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's been running. That thing's been up. I haven't done anything to that thing in a long time. That thing's a fucking appliance.
Yeah.
It's a toaster. It sits there. That's all it does. It's running a Docker container. It's fine.
Reliable.
The holy shit, my brain just farted. The thing where I send it to get all of my domains to. It's the
NPM, Nginx Proxy Manager.
Yes, NPM. That's it. Nginx Proxy Manager. Nginx was the word I was trying to think of. Yeah, one is my NPM.
Your proxy.
Yeah.
No issues, right?
Right. Like I said, some of these things they're just there.
What do you think, Netminer?
I have a couple of things to drop in here.
Yeah.
There's a $70 Raspberry Pi 5 hat that throws on some AI capabilities to your Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I didn't even mention the accessories that they make for them now, and the GPIO, which is great.
The whole but also you got to remember that the Raspberry Pi nowadays is competing pretty much head-to-head with a lot of cell phones and tablets as a media device. So, some of the price increases are unfortunate, but um, they are. It's a different environment than it was when they were starting out.
When they started out, there was nothing like it. That's what was cool about it.
Well, also, originally, the Raspberry Pi systems were a replacement from the old micro computer hacking computers, Kims and that sort of thing, the 6502, the Z80 stuff. So they were very much a niche geek tool. The increased power has put the Raspberry Pi far more mainstream these days. And the geeking stuff has gone down to the Pi 02 and all of the other stuff.
Microcontrollers too, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what the Pi 02 basically is. It's the old Pi. It's the old cheap low performance Pi with Wi-Fi and whatnot. Also, you're there's a certain amount of feature creep with the mainstream Pis, and now they've moved to compatible microcontrollers. The Pi Pico 2040 or whatever it is these days. I mean, there's a whole spectrum of Pis nowadays, from microcontrollers up to limited performance devices like the 02W.
I'd say if you want the experience of the original Raspberry Pi, the zero line is the way to go, because you still get the cheap price. It can still run a full Linux distribution, and you still get that small form factor too. So I would say that the actual Raspberry Pi 4s and 5s have moved into their kind of their own domain, like Netminer says. Like, they're basically more like a mini PC than they are the original Raspberry Pi. So if you still want that experience, the zero line is the way to go.
The only problem with the two W's is well, I guess if you use the Wi-Fi on them, a lot of the problems disappear. But again, trying to get USB or Ethernet connections can be a little tricky.
All right, so we'll go to number 3. Number 3 is the desktop PC. The personal computer was, I have no idea what the first computer desktop to be considered a personal computer was. Maybe, do you know, Netminer? Would it be the Trash 80 or something like that, or before that even?
I think you're looking, Trash 80 is about the earliest one. I mean, for everybody, Radio Shacks were everywhere. You could go in Trash 80. Now, which Trash 80? Somebody could bring a question. The color computer, the other stuff. But the original Z80 Trash 80 was the first one that gave a disk operating system computer in every little hamlet of the world. I mean,
That led to widespread adoption, I would say. And outside of like hobbyists and gamers and for office use, I think a lot of people have moved to cell phones and well, maybe not tablets, but cell phones to do email and things like that. And in the desktop computer, I think outside of those I mentioned is not as prominent as it once was, especially since you don't need one to get online anymore, and you don't need one to send emails and things like that. But I believe it still definitely has its place. And they're super cheap now. You can get a brand new N100 mini PC really cheap. You can buy them used super cheap. They have them at all the thrift stores around here, desktop computers. You could build it and build one yourself, assemble one yourself, like Honkey did for Stable Diffusion. You could be a gamer, an enthusiast, and use your desktop computer, put dual video cards in it, and overclock your CPU and fill it full of RAM. Or you could just buy an all-in-one, like the iMacs that have the screen and the computer inside the screen and all that stuff. Yeah. So that would be number 3 on my list, the desktop computer, as far as the best computers. And I think there's so much to say about the desktop computer, especially when it comes to introducing computing to your normal household family. At one time, everybody had a desktop computer in the living room or in the den or in one of the bedrooms or something like that, and that was the family computer. That's what everybody used to do their word processing. And before internet, they would do, their accounting and all that stuff on the desktop computer. That's number 3. Number 2. Is the server. When I say server, I don't mean a desktop computer converted to a server, but I mean the actual server computer. The very first computers, you could argue, were servers. Like the ones that used, what was that? The ENIACs and stuff like that, Netminer. The tube computers. UNIVAC, is that what they were called?
Yeah, UNIVACs, and well, a lot of those were one-offs, and yeah, and the early IBMs, the IBM 701, 702s, and these were machines where they didn't use core memory. They used CRTs, where data was stored as phosphorescent spots on a CRT.
And to interface with them, you had just a console that was basically a monitor and a keyboard, and the actual server was out of sight somewhere.
Oh no. Oh no. Interfacing to those machines was key punches.
Oh, you're talking about the earliest ones. Okay.
Card sorters, and your printing console was a teletype or
dot matrix
or a Selectric. No dot. Well, dot matrix was early, but most of them were for interactive work were going to be some kind of keyboard printing terminal, and that's where your I/O Selectric came in with the 360, 370 series, which is a Selectric typewriter that hooked up to your computer through the appropriate interfaces, and was also hooked up to some of the early generations of of hobbyist personal computers through hacking interfaces.
Now, when you used to go to the computer lab at MIT and use those, right?
I went to a computer that was assembled from discards. It was a PDP-11, I think 45, 1170, and then a small VAX. But the interesting part of that computer was the screens and keyboards were night TVs. These were a multi-headed, essentially a Hercules type monochrome display with a keyboard. Don't think you had a mouse. The only mouse I saw in the computer room had a real tail and was considered vermin. But they were run on. That was a. This was a video system originally used to run on the original PDP-1s or PDP-10s in the AI lab, and they had a mini computer that acted basically as a multi-headed video display. Yep. And they had some screensavers. Originally, the screensavers were scanned Playboy centerfolds, but they had to change those because that wasn't considered kosher. But yeah, back in the day, also they hooked up to the ARPANET through a primitive form of Ethernet called ChaosNet.
So now servers are pretty much ubiquitous. Everything we do online passes through a server of some kind. Every business has servers, has a server room. The internet runs on servers, and these are usually out of sight. And so when people rent VPSs or whatever, they're renting space on a server somewhere. And the cloud was a big term not too long ago, and that's just a server somewhere. And so servers handle everything today, including the recent AI boom. That's all through servers. And so servers is my number 2 pick for best computers.
Oh, by the way, there's another place you'll find a server.
Mm-hmm.
In printers.
Oh, that's right.
The interface, back in the day, you had to hang your printer off of a real PC. And then they invented this little card that had the Ethernet interface and went inside your printer, and suddenly your printer had its own dedicated print server card. So all of your printers now, well, again, are basically servers. You know, they take the stuff off the wire and they produce out.
All right, that brings us to the number 1, the top computer. The laptop. The laptop is my pick for the best computer out of all the computers I've listed, the number one top computer is the laptop. I think that brought actual working and computing environments to the mobile landscape, where you could travel, you could do whatever you want to, and you could always carry your computer with you. You had your documents. It's different from a tablet in that it has its own keyboard built in. You can interface with servers, you can interface with desktops, you can interface with all other computers with the laptop. You can get all kinds of work done. Some people, like me, basically use laptops for everything, from server administration to video rendering to whatever. And the best thing about it is it comes with its own monitor. It comes with its own wireless connection, Ethernet connection, USB connections, and it's totally portable. You can just fold it up and carry it with you. It's a workstation on the go. It's the laptop computer. I think this has made a huge contribution to computing in general, and as far as how business gets done, commerce, creative design, all of that stuff. I think we wouldn't be where we are today without the laptop computer. So that is.
I have another honorable mention then.
Okay, go ahead.
Luggables.
What's that?
Before the laptop, and actually, if you look at my brother's as a gaming laptop, I think they've reinvented them. The first portable computers, that is to say, a computer that you could put in your car and move from office to office, were called luggables.
Luggables. Now, did these include
They had a
keyboard?
Yes, the Osborne one had a very tiny screen, 2 floppy drives, and a keyboard. In fact, the keyboard clipped onto the bottom of the machine, and you had a handle like for a suitcase. My first computer was one of these that had 2 400 kilobyte floppy drives in it. This cost me a couple $1,000 back in the day, and was killed because bad power in my house burnt out the linear power supply in the computer. But the luggables were the first ones that allowed you to, that were designed to be taken from office to home to whatever. They were before laptops because they required wall power. But the laptops came along afterwards when you started getting plasma screens and lightweight and more efficient power systems, so you could actually have a battery that would last a percentage of your working day.
That's a good honorable mention, luggables.
Now, I will also mention that I really need to take care of a few things. So I hope we're closing shop pretty soon.
That's really all I had, unless you guys have anything else.
No, not really. But you guys remember when I showed you my little luggable, right?
No.
I dug that thing out. I don't want to dig it out again. But yeah, it had a CRT screen that was like that big. It was a monochrome black and orange screen. It had, I think I had a 5 1/4 and a 3.5 drive on it. It originally started off with a 300 baud modem, but I later upgraded it. I don't know what I topped it off at.
What's the CPU in it?
I don't remember. It was old as hell. It ran DOS. That was it.
Well, are you sure it ran DOS?
Yes.
Okay. That meant that it was an 8088 or 8086.
Probably an 80. Yeah, probably an 8088.
Which was the IBM PC processor.
Yep.
The machine that I had that I paid $2,000 for had a Z80 with 64 kilobytes of RAM running CPM. Again, a text-only operating system. Didn't really even have subdirectories much. Anyway.
What kind of things did you do with that luggable Netminer?
Oh, well, I did some programming. I did some BBSing, stuff like that.
Oh, there we go.
Also, a lot of the stuff downloaded was your usual GIFs and stuff.
That might be worth something, Honkey. Does it still work?
As I said, the power supply burst. Honkey's machine might be worth something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Give that to your daughter. Say, here's your new school computer.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
Keyboard.
go. So it unfolded. I see.
Well, the keyboard comes off of the front. That's the CRT screen.
Okay.
The drives. It looks
So
like 2 5 1/4 drives.
What kind of things did you do with this computer?
BBS, some basic text files.
Word processing.
Yeah, a little word processing.
Any games?
Yeah. I mean, very simple. The games, obviously.
WordStar.
I don't know.
Zork.
No. Now I gotta get the keyboard to go back on the cover.
Yeah, you need to keep. That's a family heirloom right there.
There we go. Yeah, luggable is
Is that
to lug it?
generous?
Yes, it's very generous. It is. Oh fuck! Yeah, it is fucking heavy.
And you wonder why people love the Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
If their first computer was one of those, a Raspberry Pi, and that you could just mount to the back of your, you could reinvent the luggable by just sticking a Raspberry Pi to the back of a monitor.
Yep.
In any case, this has been a nice stroll through memory lane, but this is past my bedtime.
Yeah, I think we're about to wind it down.
Al told me to tell you hi, Netminer.
Oh, there is something I'll throw in here since we're doing random stuff. Peter Kane saw a coffee commercial on TV back in the day, and he fell in love with a beautiful lady he thought was from Brazil. He was talking to a buddy of mine, a buddy of his, who explained they did the commercial. The lady he was going to fly to Brazil to look for was actually Indian, and she lived in Fulham Road in England. This came out of a little short from YouTube, and yes, the Kane married the lady, and I guess they had a very nice or a very solid relationship. So it just reminded me a lot of Mordancy and Al, my favorite long distance couple.
Not going to be long distance much longer.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a year.
Her interview is, I think, August 21st at the embassy, and so that'll most likely be them stamping it, her visa, yes, and then she can come over like that day, whenever she can book a flight. So we'll have to figure out whether she's coming straight here, whether I'm meeting her somewhere in between, what's going on. But she's getting rid of the condo. Mint's moving in with her new boyfriend, so she's going to have to get rid of everything she owns.
Well, well, if you need to meet at a random place, Logan International works.
We talked about meeting somewhere close to, is that in Boston?
Yeah, Boston Logan International.
Yeah, Boston was one of the places we were thinking about her flying to, and me meeting her there, and us staying for a couple days, and seeing if we could give Netminer a heart attack.
That'd be a neat
Show up
little
and say, "Boo!"
honeymoon.
Well, yes. Anyway, yeah, well, well, if she comes over August or early September, sometimes the heat around here will seem very familiar.
Feel like she's at home again.
I think it's 100 there right now.
Jeez.
That's
80% humidity.
That's what we get. July, August. Sometimes it gets up to effective 100-degree temperatures with the temperature. Now, I do. Please, Mordancy, if you can, take a picture of you both together beside the snowman. I think that's something that she would never see in Thailand.
No, she is not gonna like the snow. She does not like 70-degree weather. It's way too cold for her. Yeah, she's has no idea what winter is gonna be like. Even if we have a warm winter, it's just not gonna do well.
Well, she's got her own polar bear to snuggle up with, so there are ways to work around it.
Yes, there are.
And those of us in New England, well, bundling is a lot more fun without the board. Well, gentlemen, I think I have kept us up long enough.
If I'm not too late, I'll give the movie a thumbs up. What was the next one?
The next one is Cyber Seduction from 2000.
If you're going to give the movie a thumbs up, you're too late. I'm sorry.
Oh, he can.
Nope. Too late. We're not giving that movie a thumbs up.
Honkey's being a grouch. So that's me, you, and Lovecraft. 3 stars.
I thought it was slow and but I enjoyed the slow unfolding of the story.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Very sincere.
Garbage.
Of course, I'm comparing it in contrast to Universal Soldiers. Or
Everything's
soldier,
relative.
soldier. Yeah. Everything's relative. Yeah.
Well, the next movie is Cyber Seduction, and what was it about? I forgot already. It's pretty funny.
Teenager gets addicted to porn and it's ruining his life.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a Lifetime movie about it too.
It's a
So,
literal
you know it's
Lifetime
gonna be
movie
quality.
from 2005. A high school kid develops an addiction to internet and porn so intense that it begins to destroy his life and tear his family apart.
3.2 out of 10. Wow.
But you should read some of the reviews for it. It's great.
Can we get some good
Great,
movies?
great. You keep using this word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
All right. Shutting it down.
All right.
Our next recording date will be June 21st, 2024. Our music is downright provided by Cloud2 and Brome, and basically everything else is provided by Minnix. I've been your host this evening, Honky Magoo. With us tonight has been Lovecraft.
Good night, everybody.
Minnix.
Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
Mordancy.
Good night from the Southeast Linux Fest.
Oh yeah,
And
we'll need
Netminer.
we'll need a complete update next show of self. Netminer.
Sparse on the vendors.
Yes, I'm the Netminer. Good night. And best wishes to everybody. Hope Joe's doing okay. Take care.
Yeah, good luck
Good
with your
night.
doctor appointment.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck, man.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Oh, you didn't want to play your music?
Too late.
Too late. All right.